Hey there, I'm DJ, welcome to my channel. White guilt, it makes the world go topsy-turvy. I mean, what do we have to feel guilty about? It was our ancestors who committed those atrocities, not me. Slavery wasn't my fault. Sure, I may still benefit from its deeply rooted effects, but... Oh, right. I guess I should feel guilty. Oh God, it's consuming me. The guilt. I need to pass it on to other white people. Gosh, I need to punish myself. I need to punish every white person I know. On Twitter, that is. No, I'm not calling it X, just like I won't call my daughter Crescent Moonchild when she inevitably goes through her wolf phase. White guilt is a complex and damaging phenomenon. It's usually found in 20 to 35-year-old white men who drink craft beer and only date black women because they're just different. It also consumes a lot of white left-leaning internet users. People who will tweet that, "I'm sorry for slavery, I'm sorry I benefit from it, I wish I could donate to Lizzo and her cause, but I'm broke right now." Girl, Lizzo does not need your money. It's the dark shadow that looms over every white MB with green hair and a septum piercing. No matter how many identities a white leftist collects, they know deep down they'll never catch the ultimate oppression, being a person of color, or specifically being a black American. I see white people on Twitter saying they wish they were born black, not realizing how horribly racist it is to say something like that given you're ignoring and downplaying the trials and tribulations black Americans go through frequently. But also, your Viking ancestors didn't die for this. I don't know, they probably died for Odin or something. I've noticed that in a lot of leftist spaces, such as Twitter, there is no room for mistakes. If you do something problematic, even by accident, there will be a 34-year-old woman with blue hair who will never forgive you. You could accidentally misgender a faceless account with no pronouns in bio, and that harpy will see a post about your horrific death in a car accident and retweet saying, "Transphobes say ouch." But it's a bit different when you're a person of color who makes a mistake publicly. The backlash is typically even swifter and even more aggressive, especially from white leftists. Take someone like Azealia Banks. If you mention her name in any capacity, white leftists will react like you mentioned a certain Austrian painter. She was eviscerated by white leftists. To this day, some white leftists hate her so much that they won't even admit that 212 is a bop. Azealia has done and said some terrible things, but you'll never see white leftists react the same way about someone like Kim Petras, a white woman who publicly supported and worked with Dr. Luke, Kesha's accused rapist. In fact, Kim Petras is publicly celebrated by white leftists for being a trans pop musician. Her transgressions have mostly been buried, but the same will never be done for Azealia. The reason I think white leftists react so much more harshly to problematic people of color is for multiple reasons. The obvious being deeply rooted racism that they think they've mostly gotten out of this system, but they really haven't. But a big one is actually white guilt. Stay with me now. I used to have a friend who I'll call Michael. He was a lot like other white leftists who I knew at that time. He loved to make people feel small because they weren't as woke as him. He would correct any minor problematic mistake you made. If you called him out for bad behavior, he would twist it into you being toxic. And most importantly, he held an Olympic pool's worth of white guilt. He would constantly brag about how many friends of color he had, even me being one of them, despite me being only 1/4 Asian. My dad is half Asian. I personally identify as white. He would get upset that he didn't know any black people. He brought this up a lot. He would cry a lot about how guilty he felt about racism, how he wished he could fix it. But he was also very quick to jump on any person of color, especially black people, who had been cancelled. He cancelled them with much more vigor than any white person he deemed problematic. He also fucking hated Azealia Banks. This is a phenomenon I call white guilt payback. White leftists who carry around this soul-crushing guilt about being white. A guilt they themselves cultivated. They feel emotionally weighed down by social media posts calling them colonizers, saying they have no lips, saying they smell like Velveeta cheese. The same way Geminis carry the burden of constantly being dragged on every horoscope post ever created. They see a black person being cancelled and they get excited. Finally, I can make them feel the way they've been making me feel for all these years, and I won't be deemed racist for it. So they attack and attack, way more brutally than they would ever attack a white person, because they want to let out that rage that's built up from carrying around all that white guilt. And that's all I've really got to say. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day and stay safe.